What's up YouTube? So recently I got an amazing question on my Patreon community, by the way link below the video if you want to join, about the state of the market. Are we actually going up or trending down? This is a very complex question, but I believe will be a fun one. But before we go into the video, let me ask you for one thing. If you can leave a like, thank you so much for that, is the best way to show support. If you like this type of content, also consider to subscribe. Let's not waste any time, let's go into the video and I hope you have fun. While the overall market seems to be improving for soccer, it does feel like there is a lack of movement, less excitement in the hobbies. The obvious player sets to pick are obvious, the new rookie class is established and booming till the next class, of course, and there is a wave of new products for soccer. I would agree so far with, not with everything, but I think you are into something. I will break down all of these topics soon, but let's finish the question. Not saying it isn't exciting, but I feel like things are falling into a pattern or stagnating. Does this happen in markets that are still in a discovery phase? What are things to do during this time? It just feels harder to find new plays versus running the same place over with the same players. Well, again, thank you so much for the question. Great question, multiple questions if you ask me, and that's why I'm going to take a look at different parts of this question. So let's try to go point by point. You said, while the overall market seems to be improving for soccer, it does feel like there is a lack of movement/excitement in the hobby. So my perspective about this: I always felt our market would eventually fall into a situation where the sentiment in our market would look disconnected to the overall card market. I still see amazing things for us, other card markets not so much. So I was actually, and this is a video I'm still working on, comparing our market with soccer, comparing soccer with NFL, with NBA. And things are looking a bit rough in other markets, not gonna lie, in the card space. I actually see, should not be a surprise to anyone, but I see so much more opportunity in TCGs like Pokemon, Magic, in a sport like soccer, because I really believe those markets will connect more with the new generation. I really believe they are much more an explorer, even though Pokemon is the biggest market we have right now in the card space, but I see more opportunity in general. The other sports that are very American, that end up having such a boom in 2021, much more than soccer in general, if you ask me. That's where I don't see great stuff in the near future, because I think the correction will steep. I feel like the correction is still not enough in those markets. In soccer, I look at things quite different. Of course, I have some bias, not gonna lie. You also have some bias, but our market will disconnect from the other markets, and there will be a point in time that our market is doing very well, and the other markets may still be going down. To be honest, you can make an argument that that is already happening right now. So I was not sure if that was the narrative or the perspective you are trying to share with me, but at least that was the way I end up interpreting. You're pointing right there that our market is improving, but there is a lack of movement, exciting in the hobby in general, talking about the entire card space. Now the next point I also thought was a really cool one. The obvious players/sets to pick up are obvious. The new rookie class is established and blooming till the next class, of course, and there is a wave of new products for soccer. So, hey guys, quick pause on this one. First of all, hope you are enjoying the video. If that's the case, do not forget to leave a like, but let me share with you two things. The first is I have a Patreon community that is growing super fast. I put a lot of content there. If you joined right now, you pay around $10, but you have access to more than 100 exclusive videos. It's an amazing place to learn about the soccer card market, and you also support the channel. link below the video and also in the comments. The second thing is my Discord server. We are more than 1,000 members. I'm gonna say it again, 1,000 members, and it's an amazing community, an amazing place to interact with me, to interact with other collectors, to learn and share about the soccer card market. Similar to Patreon, link will also be below the video. If $10 is a lot of money to you, don't feel pressure to join the Patreon. For me, it's not super relevant. Of course, I would love to see you there, but at least join the Discord. That's totally free and is an amazing place to learn about the soccer card market, like I said a couple of seconds ago. Now let's continue with this one, and I hope you have fun. Let me say one thing about this new rookie class versus I don't care about that, as you know probably. I try to focus in legends, I try to focus in players that I understand. Look, I risk, I reward if I go for modern prospecting, but that's not for me. I apply the same logic even in TCGs. You guys may think, how can you prospect in TCGs? But you actually can. It's basically buying the new product and hoping that other generations will feel the same nostalgia, the same connection as you have for the old product. But I never did that, or at least if I did, was a very small percentage of my portfolio when it comes to investing in collectibles. I tend to focus in legends, I tend to focus in sets that I believe will be iconic. I tend to focus in things that I believe are safer, even though collectibles are a very speculative market. But going back to your point, I have to disagree a bit on this one. I'm not sure by any means about the key players set being that obvious. I really don't think that's the case. I believe certain sets are obvious, so that's why I'm saying I disagree a bit. In the other end, I also agree, but because certain sets, they really seem obvious. I mean, I think there is no way the Prism Phones for Dean at this point will not be one of the most important sets in Modern. I don't see it. I think, I mean, the first set in Modern, of course, then that will be, not of course, but most likely that will be a key set. Same logic, I mean, Topps Chrome is doing so well in general in the soccer card market with multiple brands, the Topps Chrome Merlin, the Topps Chrome Stadium, whatever, or even the normal Topps Chrome, the Topps Chrome Sapphire, that the first introduction of Chrome should be an amazing set to collect long run. I think we all tend to agree with that. So in that sense, yes, there is obvious sets right now, but I also believe, and that's why I don't think saying things are obvious is also a bit wrong, but I also believe certain sets / players will be obvious in the next 10 years and are not that obvious right now. So this is a random example, don't take this as a financial advice. Let's say the Merlin set, I think Merlin is actually a better example. Merlin in terms of, and I know you know about Modern, but Merlin in terms of rookie classes, they tend to have certain players that don't appear in other sets. I think a good example could be Gonçalo Ramos, Gonçalo Ramos, and pointing to PSV very recently. So actually a very relevant player to talk about. The best card for him is probably the Merlin card, because Ramos ended up not appearing in a lot of other stuff. But this happens with a lot of players. So eventually, I'm not saying it will be Ramos, but eventually there will be a player that his greatness will be so incredible or will be so relevant for the next 10 years, for the next 5 years, whatever, that will come most likely from a Merlin set, and that alone can make Merlin a very important set. Look, one of the reasons that Chrome 2017 is important is also the Mbappé Chrome card that is super important for a player that we all believe could be, or at least most of us believe will be a all-time great. So there is a lot of stuff when it comes to make a set great, to make a set obvious. I think Merlin could be that set in the future, but Merlin is just an example. There will be other sets, again, very speculative territory, if that makes sense. So even the same logic applies for players. I know right now, when you look at this generation, everyone tells you two names. Collect Messi, collect Cristiano Ronaldo. But what about Neymar? What about Modric? What about Iniesta? What about Xavi, Lewandowski, Benzema, Suarez? I think there is so much opportunity on those guys that maybe those players will also be very obvious that the key cards for him should be something that you try to buy right now. Look, try to collect Modric, for example. Let's forget his rookies because those are a very particular case. But if you try to collect Modric, I can guarantee you will find gold parallels for him in good sets, I would say, for $20, for $30, for a player that is an all-time great. And look, I collect Modric, but I actually collect other players more than him, so I have no great incentive to even pushing this narrative. But I believe it will be an amazing opportunity for collectors right now picking key cards for Modric. Will this be? I'm saying Modric again. Could be other players like Thomas Muller, like Buffon, like Neuer, all-time greats in their position. Because our market will at least this is my bullish take, of course. But our market will go to a point that the key cards for Messi, they are not appearing anymore. For Cristiano Ronaldo, probably not anymore, and there will be a force into almost a force for logic reasons to collect other players, because and it's not like these players, they don't have already strong collector base, strong fans, but prices are still very low, and I see that as an opportunity. So let's refocus. I'm not sure by any means about the key player set being obvious. I believe certain sets are obvious, yes, but I also believe certain sets / players will be obvious in the next 10 years and not super obvious, and they are not super obvious right now. That's where you find value. Now, the next point. I feel like things are falling into a pattern of stagnating. Does this happen in markets that are still in a discovery phase? So let's take a look at this one. I can't agree. Sorry. Why I can't agree with you? If the idea is about the card market in general, you are correct. Soccer, I feel, is stronger than ever, or at least in terms of collector base, not in terms of money. In terms of liquidity, things can be a bit more debatable, but in terms of collectors, stronger than ever. And for me, that's what matters the most, because for me, that will actually make the market great long run. So my perspective, you have a lot of potential catalysts getting in line to potentially bull run. This is actually related with the last question. If that bull run happens, we have more collectors than ever, and I suspect scarcity in key cards will push other players, other sets. I think I actually end up putting my thoughts very well there. So I disagree. Again, not saying you are wrong, because at the end of the day, this is about perspective, but our market seems actually better than ever, and I don't see stagnating. I see, actually, I would say one thing. Stagnating, look, we are in a time that a lot of people in vacation, maybe you don't see. But even that, I think, is debatable. Maybe you don't see a lot of content from influencers or something like that, or even people online interacting with you, with things that you collect. But I think our market, in terms of collector base, is really, really strong right now. So then the next one. What are things to do during this time? So actually, sorry, let's go back to the previous one. You also end up asking, does this happen in markets that are still in a discovery phase? Yes, but less. Why? If we are in a discovery, there will always be periods of stagnation, no matter the market. But the market that is still so unexplored will have much less periods of stagnation than the market that is already very explored. Look, again, I know you guys hate the Magic the Gathering talk, but in Magic the Gathering, I know what are the key sets, what are the key cards. There is not a lot to explore right there. It's a market that is so well documented that, you have money or you don't have money. Of course, certain things you may think will still appreciate over time. The narrative may get a bit better for that, but it is not like soccer. Look, in soccer, look at Panini Treble. I mean, look even at Topps Chroma and Prism. Topps Chroma and Prism, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, the narrative was weaker than it is right now. then now is much more stronger. Look at the Merlin stuff in pre-modern, the numbered stuff. Right now people are going bananas for that. 1 year ago, those cards you could find them much more cheap. So this idea of stagnation in a discovery phase actually loses some power, because put time in the market and you'll see that there is no stagnation, to be honest. So the last point, what are things to do during this time? It just feels harder to find new plays versus running the same plays over with the same players. Okay, so this is a great question or a great point, because we all struggle with this to a certain level, or at least at one point in time you may question what you are collecting, if your path is the correct, if you really know what you are doing, and or even if this market is for you. This is very normal. People that don't even put this in perspective, they are probably going in a very dangerous path, because having questioning the money you put into this is very normal. And the answer will be different for every person, but search for knowledge. Look, very boring, I understand, but I really believe knowledge, critical thinking is, if not for everything, but is a solution for most things in life. Even in collecting, I don't think is different. Search for knowledge. I've been having the time of my life collecting Iniesta and some Modric recently, some Xavi. You guys know I love the midfielders. I've been exploring the Italian/Japanese market in pre-modern quite a lot recently. Probably videos about that soon. So I'm finding new plays every day, but if I don't put time in the market, if I don't push, if I don't, let's say, grind, I will not find new plays. And probably the stagnation can actually be a feeling that I experience. But if you search for knowledge, if you put time in the market, I honestly disagree a bit with your perspective. In the other end, I also believe you are making a great point. So search for knowledge, put time in the market, and things will become much more evident. And that goes into the next slide I have for you. Try to have fun first, and of course, watch for burnout. I'm not sure if you are experiencing burnout or not. I also cannot judge you just because of one question, but this is normal. That's why I'm bringing this topic, this idea of you potentially, I'm tired of this, I'm tired of that. So something we have a hard time realizing as human beings, to be honest, is what seems stagnant to us, boring to us, may seem like the best market in the world to another collector. It's all about perspective. So this was a hot take that I even ended up talking about in my last extra audio from Football 11 Men, that he said, in terms of participation, the hobby is booming. And if you open actually that hot take, you end up explaining his thoughts very well. A lot of people agreeing, and this is also the sentiment I have in the market. So that's what I'm saying. Your perspective is actually different than mine right now. Not saying your perspective is wrong, but I also believe you should take a look at the forest, not just the tree, because our market is honestly doing quite well right now. Actually, again, I see the opposite. I don't see any type of stagnation right now. Our reality is not the reality of the market most of the time. On the other hand, our reality is what matters to us. I believe that the search of knowledge, critical thinking, and always trying to get out of our bubble will keep us in the hobby for several years. I already shared a few tips to avoid burnout, but one that helps me a lot is collecting different markets. I spend a lot of time, for example, collecting TCG stuff, specific Portuguese TCGs. And look, when I'm tired of that market, because eventually I'll be tired of collecting my Portuguese Pokemon stuff, well, I have soccer now. Let's see, soccer is actually in a great place, or there is new things in soccer that or there is new cards appearing on eBay that 1 month ago was not the case. So it's a constant cycle, as you can imagine, but I really believe collecting something different than soccer helps a lot, at least for me, helps a lot. And I know a lot of you guys collect baseball, American football, tennis, Pokemon. So again, go I believe you should stay focused to certain point, but there's nothing wrong to look. This month I will focus more on other stuff. Soccer right now is not doing it for me. That's fine. Trust me, eventually you'll come back, and even with probably with a better perspective. I also try to look at different eras, so this is another tip. Modern is by far the era you can get burnout the most. Why? No discovery, no organic beauty, if you ask my perspective. In modern, everyone knows what's going on. That's the reality. In pre-modern and vintage, we are still looking for rookies for all-time greats. If you are likely to be one of the ones finding those cards, those rookies that the market does not even know, or that set that is crazy undervalued, that is the best feeling in the world, when the market recognizes all the time you end up putting into finding that, because your knowledge end up leading you into value. There is no better feeling than that. So I was telling you guys that I've been having a lot of fun, for example, in pre-modern in the Italian market, and I'm collecting, for example, again, not pushing any narrative. Those are still fairly cheap in my perspective, but I've been collecting the Grandi set. In terms of production, this seems quite lower than the base cards, and all of this I also got inspiration because of all the mania, not mania, I should not say mania, but the bull run that the Merlin stuff, the numbered stuff, got in pre-modern. I think there is a lot of great cards that are not numbered that are also crazy rare in pre-modern. Not just Italian cards, Spanish, you have a lot of stuff. I also talk about the Wizards of the Coast. I think those are still such an amazing opportunity, and you can still find them in raw, appearing in eBay Italy, eBay France. So there is a lot of opportunity right now, and if you have fun discovering this type of stuff, burnout will not happen to you that easy.